My name is Everett Glenn. I'm a retired attorney, practiced corporate and business law for 46 years, which included a career representing some of the greatest athletes of our time. From between 83 and 88, I would imagine. I represented 18 first rounders. I was the first and only guy to represent multiple first round picks in the same draft, first black guy to do that, with Willie Gault and Clark Kellogg, and uh, was the only guy to represent multiple first round picks in the same draft from different sports. So, like Clark Kellogg played basketball, Willie Gault played football, and I represented them both in the same draft year. And along the way, I've represented a number of guys, Hall of Fame guys like Jerry Rice, Richard Dent, Reggie White, and so I know a little bit about sports. And now in retirement, in the forecourt, I'm running a program called BOSS, which stands for the Business of Student Success. And we got a lot of boys who play sports. BOSS used to stand for the Business of Success Beyond Sport, right? Because we know what happens at the end. 1% of guys are going to make it, period. Okay. And so we wanted to try to reach kids younger and not to discourage them, but just like BOSS is based on 5 bases of success. Number one, who you're listening to, and what evidence do you have that they know what they're talking about in terms of sports, and pursuing that as a dream, base it on the evidence. Clark Kellogg, who I represented, they called him the next Magic and the first LeBron. And so when he was 17 years old, he knew he was going to be a sports player. He was going to make a living playing basketball. Same with LeBron James. You know, when he was in high school, we knew he had evidence. And so we're just saying, base your decisions on evidence. And if you the last guy on your high school team, then you can't be putting all your. I mean, you can do that, but if you do it, you're going to be sorely disappointed because it'll end for you soon after high school. And if you haven't worked on yourself, I mean, Jim Rome, the guy who we model BOSS after in terms of thought and mindset, you work on your game, you work on your job, you make a living, which is fine. You work on yourself, which is you can make a fortune, which is super fine, right? And so again, I'm concerned because we've had a kid turn down a scholarship because he didn't want to miss basketball practice, and he felt afraid to even ask the coach to excuse him for practice one Monday a week for like about 6 Mondays because the season would have been over, and the rest of the meetings wouldn't interfere with basketball, but it just wasn't. But anyhow, we can't let that. We can't duplicate that, and we got to just help these guys understand. You guys that again, we all for it. I played sports from the time I could walk, and but I also knew from the time I was in high school. I mean, even though I was a decent player, you know, I had no NBA talent. I mean, so I never even think about that. But I was working on myself, and by working on myself, I actually became a Hall of Fame lawyer working with clients in the NBA, NFL. So there's more than one way you can skin the cat. But we can't do it if we just put all of our marbles in this and we pass up opportunities to grow and develop. We pass up career experiences, career networking opportunities, and exposure events and programs and shadow opportunity. We pass up all of this stuff that we don't want to miss a practice as though that's going to be what's going to produce. There's going to be a source of finances for our living, and it's not going to be the case. And sooner or later, whether you want to or not, it's a system that whether you want or not, it's going to just they're going to make decisions. College coaches are going to make decisions, and they're going to make scholarship offers based on talent and production, not based on potential, right? And so then it's going to be over, whether you want it to or not. And then if you go to college and play, and then the pros make decisions based on talent, a little bit of potential, but mostly talent and production. Potential only if you got some unique physical skills or talent or makeup, but otherwise, the system's going to make that decision for you. But when the system makes it, if you haven't been working on anything else, there's nothing else you can fall back on. There's nothing else you can fall back on. But if I wanted to be a rocket scientist and I didn't make it to a rocket scientist, I want to be a judge or something, or a lawyer even. I didn't pass the bar, but I still went to college and law school. Now I can become a college dean, a college I could become all kind of corporate executive, all kind of stuff with that education. So there's something to fall back on, and there's not that same fallback. Everybody can't train, and because all the training in the world don't work. Okay, and so you got to have some God gifted talent. All them guys in the pros, I mean, but you can probably count them on one hand who don't have God gifted talent. There's something uniquely gifted about them athletically. Even the little ones. I mean, Brunson. I mean, look at him. He played like a giant, but he's 5'10". If you can't do that, you can't be 5'10" and play in the NBA. You know, or Tariq Hill. You know, he's a little bitty guy, but he's like grease lightning. If you can't do that at his size, you can't play in the NBA, NFL. I mean, it's just so. Again, to be successful, one of the things you got to do is you got to be brutally honest. If you canvass successful people, one characteristic about them is going to be they're brutally honest. We just asking all of our boys to be brutally honest about their talent and their future, and don't waste opportunities now pursuing something that you have very little evidence that's going to produce what you hope it to produce. And that's not to discourage anybody from working at their craft and trying to get better, but you can do that and work on yourself too, period. Thank you so much for your time. And you got any questions? I'd love to have individual conversations with any parents or kids about it. Because again, I play sport every time I could walk, so I know the passion and all that kind of stuff. But it's more than that. We're talking about your future and what it takes to be prepared to win at the game of life.